At the start of the drama, Chen-li is shown dozing off in class, dreaming of becoming a famous designer. She suddenly jumps up, and the teacher, noticing her standing, tells her to answer a question. Confused, she whispers to her friend, who tells her the question was about math, something Chen-li insists is too hard and too confusing. At that moment, the male lead, Shu-wei, enters the class late. The teacher begins looking for Chen-li, and hearing her name makes Shu-wei freeze because he already knows her. Chen-li tries to hide under a cap but is forced to lift it when the teacher calls her out. After the lecture, she walks out, but Shu-wei quickly follows. Chen-li asks why he is following her and tries to scare him away by saying she has the flu, but Shu-wei says he doesn't care. He asks why she left without saying goodbye, saying he hasn't seen her for 2 years and 6 months. She avoids him again by running off, but he keeps catching up. Eventually, she escapes to her dorm. Even later, at the cafeteria or walking with friends, whenever Shu-wei appears, she instantly flees. He finally manages to catch her and asks how long she plans to avoid him, reminding her they used to be a couple. Instead of answering, she bites his hand and runs away. Later, one of her roommates gives Chen-li an invitation card from the prestigious Hang Group, a place she's always dreamed of joining. Excited, she opens it, only to learn it's a fake. Still determined, she decides to go anyway. At the company, the guard doesn't notice the card is fake, and Shu-wei arrives with his father, since the company belongs to him. Instead of joining his father's business, he wants to start his own. He spots Chen-li impressing people with her detailed knowledge of the place, secretly recording the items. Shu-wei records her, too, planning to use it against her. Back in class, Chen-li is once again sleeping when she gets a message from Shu-wei, telling her to accept his friend request, which she ignores. Later, while trying to hide under a cap and mask, he catches her again. When she lies about why she never said goodbye, he shows her the video and threatens to send it to Hang Group. Panicking, she says she forgot the real reason and needs time to remember. He agrees and walks away. In class, Shu-wei texts her again, ordering her to get water for him. She asks the teacher for bathroom permission just to escape. She gets angrier when she realizes Shu-wei doesn't even drink water in class. Soon, he also makes her fix his bicycle and fetch snacks whenever he sees other girls eating. Later, he stares at a campaign poster, and Chen-li asks if he's joining the campus election. He proudly says yes and orders her to help him. He tells her to deliver the food he wants to his door in 10 minutes and walks away. During a basketball match, Chen-li sneaks around trying to steal Shu-wei's phone, hoping to delete the blackmail video. She searches the boys' area but can't find it. Then she gets a message from Shu-wei demanding water after the game, meaning he has the phone with him. She covers her face, sneaks to his bag, grabs the phone, and runs. After trying random passwords, she uses her own birthday, and it works. While going through his gallery, she finds a video where he says he left something for her in the garden. Suddenly, Shu-wei appears behind her, snatches the phone, and says the video is backed up in the cloud anyway. Chen-li angrily asks why his phone password is still her birthday, and he casually replies that it's easy to remember. A girl offers him water, but he refuses, which reminds Chen-li of how he used to have a mineral water allergy and only drank water she gave him. When he asks if she has something to say, she stays silent. Later, she gets a message telling her to meet him at the garden at 11. When Chen-li arrives, Shu-wei tells her to sit, but she refuses and takes out her sketchbook instead. As she draws him, he can't stop staring, remembering his high school days when she used to sketch him the same way. She steps closer to remove something from his hair, and he smiles at the memory. When she finishes and shows him the sketch, he criticizes it endlessly. Annoyed, she hands him a silly sketch where he looks like a villain and storms off. Later, Chen-li feeds a cat by the water, but it refuses to eat. Shu Wei arrives and feeds it for her, surprising her. As she walks away, he tells her her drawing skills are impressive and promises not to bother her anymore, except he won't delete the video until she finishes his election poster. Even though she's angry, she can't help but smile when she sees him carrying the cat gently, realizing she still has feelings for him. She returns to her dorm and begins working on the poster, replaying the moment in her mind. The next day, Shu Wei notices Chen-li isn't in class and messages her, but she doesn't reply. She finishes the poster and goes to submit it. When Shu Wei sees her, he smiles without even noticing. The teacher questions him, and Shu Wei quickly excuses himself and rushes out to look at the poster. Then he hurries to find Chen-li. Sitting beside her, he avoids answering her question about deleting the video. When she says they're just classmates with nothing in common, Shu Wei walks away irritated. But when she again brings up the video, he smirks and says he'll only delete it if he wins the election, tricking her once more. Chen-li goes to buy pads when the class monitor suddenly appears. Panicking, she hides the pack and rushes out, forgetting to take it. The shop assistant hands the pads to the monitor and asks him to return them. Embarrassed, he tries to give them to Chen's roommate, Shum Miao, but she scolds him and walks away. Annoyed, the monitor tosses the pads and leaves. The next morning, Chen-li stands outside school encouraging girls to vote for Shu Wei. She's annoyed that he's late, especially today. When he finally arrives, he's wearing the same costume as Chen. Without thinking, she blurts out that he looks cute. His roommates tease him until she glares at them. Then someone jokes that Shu Miao is bald under her headpiece, so she pulls it off and kicks him for starting the rumor. Fewer girls are visiting Shu Wei that day. And when someone asks for a photo, he's about to refuse until Chen steps in and agrees for him. She even takes the photos herself. Soon, Shu Wei starts dancing and the crowd surrounds him. Watching him, Chen remembers a truth or dare game from their past, where Shu Wei confessed he first noticed her when she rescued him from bullies as a kid. She had forgotten that moment, but realizing he never did makes her promise herself never to betray him again.
Later, Chen looks at her sketch and can't stop thinking about Shu. She suddenly remembers she still has his election poster. When she finds it, she wonders why she keeps thinking about him, even though he deleted her video. At the dorm, Shum Miao complains the poster is staring at her all night, so Chen turns it around. When Chen asks what it means if she can't stop thinking about someone who left her before, Shum Miao simply says, "It means you still like him." Just then, Chen gets an email. Hang Group wants to interview her and see her designs. Excited but nervous, she goes around the city asking people to turn her designs into sculptures, but everyone refuses. Meanwhile, Shu is in the same city for business. When he spots Chen walking alone, he tells his manager to go ahead and starts following her. She gets rejected by one last factory and leaves disappointed, only to find Shu standing in front of her. Her eyes fill with tears, and he gently asks if she's hungry. They end up having dinner, where she drinks too much, and shows him her design notebook. He praises her work, saying he's never seen designs like hers. His words make her genuinely happy. Shu takes the drunk Chen back to her hotel room and gently lays her on the bed. But she suddenly pulls him close, and just as he's about to kiss her, someone outside knocks and asks if they're awake. He tries again, but the voice interrupts, so he lies and says they're asleep. The next morning, Chen wakes up beside him, remembering everything. A cleaner walks in and assumes they already checked out, then leaves. Shu pulls Chen close, holds her hand, and falls asleep again. Later, Shu takes Chen to the businessman he came to meet and asks him to create sculptures of her designs. The man agrees. The next morning, Chen is late for class, and Shu rides up on his bicycle. They awkwardly exchange greetings, and he offers her a ride until she sees there's no seat. Embarrassed, he pedals away. When they reach class, he distracts the teacher long enough for her to sneak in. Afterward, two girls whisper that Chen is a thief.
Shum Yao confronts the girls, but they claim Shu told them Chen stole something. When asked, Shu admits it, saying she did steal. Chen instantly remembers the pad she accidentally took and falls silent. The girls assume it's true. When she tries to leave, Shu tells her to defend herself, but she snaps and walks away. Later, at the dorm, Chen apologizes for taking the pads and says she meant to return them. Still upset, Shu says he doesn't believe her. Shum Yao suddenly remembers the monitor returned the pads to her and she had given them back. Realizing this, Shu runs to the monitor to get them, but the monitor says he threw them away. Shum Yao forces him to buy a new pack. When he brings it, she finds an embarrassing item inside and throws it back at him. The monitor claims he didn't put it there and quickly leaves. Chen returns the pads to Shu and apologizes again. Their misunderstanding is finally cleared. Shu waits for Chen to apologize properly, and Chen struggles over what to text. When she finally types, "I'm sorry," she accidentally adds a heart emoji. Horrified, she unsends the message right after Shu sees it. This makes him even more upset. In the end, she sends him an apology video. During Shu's basketball match, he spots Chen arriving and his whole face brightens. During a break, she walks over with water for him, but a group of girls reaches him first. Shu refuses to take their bottles. After they leave, Chen steps toward him with her water, but he doesn't accept it. Confused, she asks, "But I already apologized." Chen Li asks Shu why he still won't forgive her, and he simply says, "You know what you did," reminding her of how she yelled at him. Shu smiles and walks away, leaving her confused about why he refused her water. Later, while she debates which bottle to buy, girls swarm around Shu offering water. He turns all of them down. Then Chen suddenly appears, holding an enormous bottle that's so heavy Shu can barely lift it. She thinks he was upset earlier because her bottle was too small. Touched, he happily accepts it, and the other girls walk away, defeated. The boys later brag about who got the most water bottles, and of course, Shu wins because Chen's bottle is huge. He brings it back to his room and stares at it like it's a treasure. In class, Chen notices he's absent and asks Xiao, who says Shu is sick and refusing to let anyone touch the giant bottle. Xiao jokes that she seems awfully concerned about him. Meanwhile, Shu meets an elegant woman for an investment proposal. When she asks why she shouldn't just ask his father, he admits his relationship with his dad is distant and says she has treated him better than his own mother. Moved, she agrees to invest and proudly reveals to a waiter that he is her son. During the basketball game, Chen and Shum Yao join the cheerleading team. When Chen's zipper gets stuck, Shu helps fix it, whispering for her to meet him under the tree after the match. She dances beautifully, cheering loudly every time he scores. After the win, she tries to find him, only to hear from Zhao that Shu left with a girl. Hurt, she searches for him and sees he really did leave with someone, making her storm off angrily. Later, she awkwardly drops off his poster outside, scolding herself for caring so much.
Chen receives a package of her design pieces, but when Shu tries to open it, she stops him and leaves for class, where her test goes badly. After class, Shu tries to guide her on what to study, but she brushes him off. He later gives her detailed notes, but instead of using them, she hands them to Xiao. When the marks come out and Shen ranks last, Xiao returns the notes happily, saying they helped him a lot. Realizing Chen gave them away, Shu gets furious and slams them on the desk. When he tries to talk to her, she ignores him, which leaves him confused. Back in the dorm, Xiao asks about the girl Shu left with. Shu insists she's not his girlfriend, which explains why Chen seemed upset. Later, during a group hangout, he pushes Xiao aside to sit next to Chen and tries to figure out what's bothering her. When it's his turn to sing, he belts out a song about not having a girlfriend, clearly aimed at her. After the fun, the two walk together, and Chen admits she's happy because she got extra food at the cafe. Nervously, she asks if the girl from the other day was his girlfriend, and he assures her she's family, not a romantic partner. Shu asks if they're okay now, and Chen says yes. When she holds his cold hand, he asks when she started liking him again. Chen admits it was when she drew his sketch and confesses she kept his poster in her room to see him every night. Shu excitedly asks her to give him the poster back as a symbol of their love, something she can't admit she already threw away. The next day, she attends her interview at Hang Group. Though impressed by her work, the panel rejects her for not being a designer. Feeling defeated, she sits outside until a man named Yo approaches, praises her creativity, tests her with a few questions, and then tells her she's hired before handing him her card. Chen-Li's parents grow worried because she suddenly becomes extremely focused on studying, spending all day at her desk when she used to sleep all the time. When she tells them to turn off the TV so she can concentrate, they start discussing sending her out for a break. Eventually, they push her out of the house, telling her to get some fresh air. Outside, Chen-Li remembers Shu's video message about a box he hid for her under a tree. She searches through a few trees until she finally finds it. Inside is a photo with a note saying, "We will always celebrate our anniversary together." Touched, she writes "OK" underneath and buries it again. After that, she goes to see Shu and discovers he's working on a construction site. It hits her that he might actually be poor, and she starts crying. When Shu notices, she hands him some money and walks away. Excited, he tells his manager, "My girlfriend just gave me money. She must know I'm short on cash." Even though the manager reminds him he once claimed to be rich, Shu just shrugs it off, saying her care is what matters. Back in her room, Chen-Li's friends talk about a story where a boy pretends to be rich but is actually poor. Hearing this makes her imagine dramatic situations where Shu gets scolded or fired, and she steps in to protect him. She even imagines him returning her money angrily, which she really doesn't want to happen. Meanwhile, Shu happily spends the money she gave him. Later in class, when the teacher calls his name, Chen-Li says he's in the washroom, only to be embarrassed when the teacher says he already took leave. Everyone laughs while she insists it was a misunderstanding. She keeps worrying about how he felt about the money and decides she should message him. Just then, Shu arrives. When she nervously brings up the money, he pulls the remaining coins from his pocket and asks if she wants it back. Seeing that he only has coins left, convinces her even more that he's poor, so she quickly tells him to keep it and runs off, leaving him completely confused. Feeling bad, Chen-Li disguises herself as a boy and sneaks into his dorm room. She knows exactly where he hides his keys. The moment she enters, she's hit by the terrible smell and messy room. Without thinking, she cleans everything from top to bottom and slips out before anyone arrives. Moments later, Shu and the class monitor return, shocked at how spotless the room is. They assume one of Shu's fans must have secretly cleaned it.
The next morning, Chen-Li sneaks in again to clean the boys' messy dorm. She leaves before they return, but this time the three boys walk in right after and freeze when they see everything perfectly cleaned. Shoei picks up a stray slipper and jokes around, already guessing that the mystery fangirl must be Chen-Li. Later in class, Chen-Li looks totally worn out. Shen-Mao asks why she's so tired, but Chen-Li stays quiet. Suddenly, Shoei enters wearing the same slippers. Everyone whispers about why he's wearing slippers in class. His roommates loudly tell the class that some girl gave them to him because she's obsessed with him. Shohei proudly shows them off, but Chen-li ignores him. When the teacher walks in and spots Shohei stretching out his leg, he asks what's wrong. Shohei pulls back quickly, but his slippers fall off, and Chen-li just tosses them aside. At his shop later, Shohei is still staring at the slippers when his manager asks if his girlfriend gave them to him. Shohei claims yes, and even says he wants to go public with the relationship. Meanwhile, Chen-li goes back to clean the boys' room again, but the management team arrives for inspection. She panics and climbs out the window, but students outside spot her. A crowd forms, teasing her and demanding to know who she's confessing to. Pressured, Chen blurts out, "Xiao." Xiao is shocked while Shohei silently watches. She climbs down and stands next to Xiao, and the teacher warns both of them not to cause trouble again. Afterward, Xiao asks why she used him as an excuse when she was clearly there for Shohei, but Chen-li just mocks him for being short until he walks away annoyed. Soon after, Chen-li gets a fever. Her friends tease her about dating Xiao, but she admits she and Shohei actually dated back in high school. Right then, Shohei calls out from outside the dorms, telling her to meet him in 5 seconds. She rushes out, and he boldly says he wants the whole school to know she's his girlfriend. She hesitates, so he gives her his jacket and offers 2 choices: run 5 laps with him or 10 alone. Chen-li grabs his hand, and Shohei smiles. When they pass Xiao, she lets go, but Shohei takes her hand again to show Xiao they're dating. Xiao demands she clear his name, and Shohei suggests they take a picture together to make the truth public. Later, Shohei's stepmom picks him up, making him wear a suit. Xiao secretly follows and snaps pictures of her giving Shohei money and even her purse. The next day, Xiao shows the photos to Chen-li, claiming Shohei isn't rich at all. He only sticks around that girl for money. Chen-li warns him not to spread it. Soon the entire dorm finds out Shohei is actually poor and had been pretending. When Chen-li hears students making fun of him, she stands up and defends him, saying at least he earns his own money instead of living off his parents. Back in class, she asks Shohei to go on a date, and Xiao jokingly asks if he can even afford it. She quickly says she'll pay. Meanwhile, Shummao punches the class monitor for accidentally touching her hair, then calmly goes back to studying. The next morning, Xiao posts publicly confessing his previous rumors about Shohei were fake. When Shohei confronts him, Xiao claims he only wanted more followers. In class, Shohei keeps answering questions meant for Chen-li, annoying the teacher. Later, Chen-li wonders if she agreed to date him too quickly. Shummao says she should have played hard to get, so Chen-li decides to ignore Shohei. He becomes confused and nervous when she avoids him everywhere. When he texts her and she doesn't reply, he asks the class monitor what it means. The monitor says it probably means she found someone else, and Shohei panics. That day, Chen-li is scolded harshly by the director at work, which ruins her mood. When Shohei comes to pick her up, she snaps at him to be quiet. Their car gets hit by a taxi, and she bursts into tears, explaining her stressful day and how he didn't notice how upset she was. Shohei apologizes, and Chen admits she only ignored him because of Shummao's advice. She kisses his cheek, just as the taxi driver comes to apologize. Shohei brushes it off, saying the car belongs to his dad anyway. Later, Shohei's stepmom brings food to his office. The food tastes awful, but Chen-li praises it politely. When Shohei calls the woman mom, Chen-li is shocked, until the stepmom explains she's not his biological mother. Shohei answers that she's still his mom in his heart. After he drops Chen-li at her dorm, he stops her to talk and leans in for a kiss right before the dorm supervisor interrupts and tells Chen-li to go inside. As Chen-li is about to enter the dorm, Shohei tries to kiss her again, but her roommate suddenly appears and drags her inside. Her roommate apologizes for interrupting, and when Shummao overhears them, she's shocked they haven't kissed yet. She insists that a kiss strengthens a relationship. Chen-li gets embarrassed and imagines an intense scene of Shohei slowly unbuttoning his shirt, which makes her even more nervous. She quickly tells herself she wants nothing like that to happen. Later, Chen-li and Shoei go to watch a horror movie together. Shoei hoped she'd get scared and hug him, but she isn't scared at all, so he pretends to be terrified and inches closer. Thinking he's genuinely afraid, Chen-li comforts him. At the perfect moment, he slips popcorn into her mouth and kisses her, giving them their first kiss. Meanwhile, Shum-mao is with her friends when food accidentally drops on her hair. Since she hates anyone touching her hair, her friends rush her away, and the class monitor panics, believing Shoei will be furious with him. Sometime later, Chen-li and Shoei ride bicycles together. When Chen-li comments on how tall he is and tries to leave, Shoei pulls her close, lifts her up, and kisses her again. The next day at work, Shoei can't focus in his meeting because he keeps thinking about Chen-li. After returning to his dorm, he receives a surprising call from a girl named Jung. She says she used to call her princess and that she has been searching for him since high school. When she reveals she is waiting outside his dorm, he rushes out to meet her. Later, in class, Chen-li shows Shoei a drawing she made, but he ignores it and leaves. Xiao comes by to peek at it, but she hides it because it's actually a drawing of their kiss. That evening, Chen-li waits for Shoei outside his dorm. When he finally arrives, she asks why he was late. He claims he had extra work, and she gives him food and hugs him. While they walk together, he receives a message saying he has something urgent to do. From afar, Jong secretly watches the two of them. During dinner that night, Chen-li gets a message from Jong and realizes the same girl from years ago has returned. She remembers a flashback of Jong leaving something in Shoei's notebook and telling her not to mention her visit. Chen-li suddenly understands that Jong is the girl Shoei used to talk about, and that Shoei had mistakenly thought she, Chen-li, was Jong all along. Hurt by this, Chen-li asks her parents to transfer her to another school. One day, when she notices a girl following her, she panics and hides in the boys' restroom. When she comes out, the girl explains she only wanted to return her lost student ID. A boy walks up and asks why she entered the boys' restroom. She nervously says she didn't see anything. He then asks if she has a boyfriend, and she proudly says, yes, he's tall and handsome. The boy doesn't believe her, but right then Shoei arrives and she walks away with him. Later, Xiao overhears students gossiping that Chen-li dumped Shoei because he's terrible at kissing. Shoei gets furious. When Chen-li arrives at the cafeteria, everyone stares at her. Thinking Xiao started another rumor, she confronts him, but he denies it and teases that maybe Shoei really is a bad kisser. Shum-mao also asks if it's true, and Chen-li blushes and says no. Meanwhile, the monitor is at a convenience store when Shum-mao appears and pays for his things. Nervously, he apologizes again for the hair incident and promises to bring her shampoo to make up for it. She forgives him, leaving him so relieved that he realizes he has fallen in love with her. He asks his roommate what type of boys she likes, and Xiao says she reads a lot of romance novels, so she probably prefers male lead types. Trying to impress her, the monitor goes to the library and even the basketball court to act like a dramatic hero, but nothing goes as planned. Shum-mao throws a ball at his head when he tries acting tough. Later, when Shum-mao is on a call, he randomly sprays something in front of her, confusing her even more. When he walks into class afterward, Chen-li whispers that he looks cute today. Shoei also arrives, and Chen-li asks Shoei where he was last night. He says he had work, but when a photo of a park falls out of his book, Chen-li assumes he was with Jong again and starts feeling heartbroken. The next day, during a test, Chen-li notices Shoei still isn't there and secretly texts him, but the teacher makes her put her phone away. A girl tries to pass Xiao a cheat sheet, but it falls near Shum-mao. Shoei quietly tells her to pick it up, and right then the teacher catches her. To protect her, the monitor claims he brought the cheat sheet and ends up getting disqualified from the exam. Shum-mao feels guilty after hearing the news.
Meanwhile, Shu is with Zheng. He tells her he completed 3 of her wishes: watching the sunrise, going to a movie, and spending time together. Jang asks if he didn't enjoy being with her, but Shu says he just wants to end things properly. She asks for one last wish, a banana milkshake. While he goes to buy it, Chen-li calls him, and Jang answers, saying he'll call back. Hearing Jang's voice breaks Chen-li's heart. At her dorm, Chen-li waits alone because everyone else has gone home for vacation. Shu finally texts her to meet him downstairs. As they walk, she quietly asks why he lied about being busy when he was actually with Jang. Shu admits it, and Chen-li instantly says she wants to break up. Shu warns her she'll regret it, but she walks away anyway. Back home, Chen-li cries until her friends invite her out. At the club, Shumyao complains that the monitor suddenly stopped caring for her. Then Chen-li admits her breakup. She explains that Shu's first love returned and he's been spending time with her again. Meanwhile, Shu notices Chen-li has deleted him on WeChat and becomes furious. The next day, Shu's manager tells Chen-li to message him, but she refuses. Later, the manager also tells Shu to meet her, but Shu angrily says he tried explaining and she didn't listen, so he won't go after her anymore. When school reopens, the monitor waits for Shumyao. Another girl asks me to carry her luggage, but he refuses because he's waiting for someone. As soon as Shumyao appears, he grabs someone else's bag to show he's helpful. Shumyao gets angry, throws her suitcase at him, and tells him to carry hers instead. At the dorm, someone tells Chen-li that Shu is waiting downstairs, but he only came to drop off her luggage and leaves without speaking. In class, he avoids sitting near her. Then Jang appears, and Shu sharply tells her not to interfere anymore. She explains she transferred to the school because her parents won't let her study abroad, but Shu repeats that Chen-li is his girlfriend and leaves. Shu then tries to talk to Chen-li, asking her to add him back on WeChat. She refuses, reminding him that they already broke up. Angry, Shu tells her he'll keep his distance. Later, the company director fires Chen-li for her poor work. Upset, she walks out and drops her things. A boy named Meng helps her and compliments her designs, so she lets him keep them. Shu looks for her afterward and sees Meng giving her an ice cream. Jealous, he turns away. Chen-li notices him, but he walks off. From then on, Chen-li avoids him on campus. In class, when she arrives late, Shu subtly moves his book so the teacher notices her coming in, which only annoys her more. Meanwhile, in the library, Shumyao dresses up to impress the monitor, but he doesn't see her until she coughs. When she tries to talking to him, he tells her to be quiet. She's disappointed, but still happy to sit next to him. She even offers to refill his water bottle, but when she returns, he's gone, though he secretly watches her from the corner with a smile. Later, during a basketball match, Jang appears as part of the opposing cheer squad, making Chen-li jealous. So Chen-li brings her own cheer team. Shu's team wins, and Chen-li cheers loudly, but her smile fades the moment she meets Shu's eyes. After the game, Jang confronts Chen-li, accusing her of breaking up with Shu because she couldn't handle seeing them together. Chen-li calmly replies that even if she never existed, Jang still wouldn't be his girlfriend. Then she walks off carrying boxes in the next scene.
When Meng tries helping Chen-li, she insists she can handle it herself because she doesn't want Shui to misunderstand. But Shui doesn't even glance at her and just walks away. Later in class, Meng brings milk tea for Chen-li and her friends, which makes Shui furious. He teams up with Xiao, telling him to copy everything Meng gives them. Xiao brings milk tea too, saying Meng's drink was expired. The same thing happens when Meng brings food to the cafe. Xiao shows up with even more food. Annoyed, Chen-li glares at him, so Xiao admits the truth. All of this was Shui's idea. When Shui hears Xiao confessed, he gets mad, but Xiao reminds him that his plan was so obvious it would have been exposed anyway.
Later, Shui secretly watches Chen-li and then sits beside her. She asks why he can't sit somewhere else, but he argues that it's a public seat. When Meng shows up saying that's his seat, Shui refuses to move. Meng then reveals that he thought Chen-li and Shui had broken up. Shui immediately denies it and says it was only a small fight. Hearing that, Chinli leaves and Shui chases after her. She asks why he keeps following her, and he warns that if she doesn't come back to him, she'll fail her exams because she can't focus. She steps on his foot and walks away. Later, Chinli's parents visit campus and eat lunch with her friends. Shui joins them and asks if they support their daughter in dating. Her mom says yes and adds that Chinli has never had a boyfriend, asking him to help her find a good one. Shui agrees. Just then, Jiang appears and Shui pulls her aside to say she needs to stop coming around because she makes his girlfriend jealous. But when Chinli and her friends walk outside, Jiang hugs Shui on purpose, causing Chinli to walk off. As Chinli leaves, Meng stops her and confesses he likes her, giving her a gift. She gently rejects him, saying she doesn't want a date. Right then, Shui arrives, calling her name, but she runs away. The next day, Shui Miao hands out flyers for her drama club performance. Many students come, but the play is so boring that only the monitor claps for her, even though she mostly just plays a dead body. Suddenly, a man arrives to deliver flowers for Shui Miao and leaves them with her friends. Later, Shui tells Chinli that Shui Miao likes a guy who is actually a playboy and is planning to confess to her. Shocked, Chinli hurries off to tell her friends, thinking it's like the story in a novel the monitor wrote. After hearing this, Shui Miao becomes convinced the monitor is using her as inspiration for his writing. She calls him, accuses him of pretending to confess just for his story, and hangs up crying. Meanwhile, the monitor was actually preparing to confess for real, but now sits alone, blocked by her. Shui apologizes, feeling responsible, but the monitor says he should have been honest from the start. In another scene, Shui stands in front of the AC after a shower, hoping to catch a cold so Chinli will worry about him. Meanwhile, when the monitor tries to talk to Shui Miao, she refuses to listen and walks away. At the same time, Chinli is eating with friends, while Shui watches from afar. She quietly prays for her bad luck, meaning Shui, to disappear. Later, Shui starts coughing loudly in class, and Chinli finally messages him, asking to meet. When they talk, she asks if he's sick. He says yes, so she gives him medicine and leaves. Shui is thrilled by her small act of care. Meanwhile, Shui Miao sees the monitor's announcement that he will stop writing his novel. She comments that he can't even write without her. Later, students ask him when he'll update again, and he says maybe never. He even bumps into a tree while walking away. Shui Miao shows up and demands he continue writing, and the monitor asks if she'll read it if he does. Shui Miao replies she'll think about it. Eventually, Shui Miao and Chinli are together when she spots the monitor nearby. Chinli leaves them alone. Shui Miao sits beside him and asks if he has something to say. He says yes, but hesitates. As she stands to leave, he blurts out a confession. He likes her. She kisses him on the cheek, he kisses her back, and they officially become a couple. Later, at Shui's new company, he piles too much work on his employees, causing 3 of them to quit on the spot. He doesn't try to stop them. He later walks with Chinli, explaining the mess the company is in. She tells him to apologize, saying his employees will forgive him if he's sincere. He takes her advice, gathers everyone, apologizes for overworking them, and they all agree to stay and rebuild the company together. Soon after, Chinli receives invitations from multiple companies wanting to interview her, and she agrees to all of them. Shui Miao reminds her she schedules 7 interviews for the same day and needs to choose. Later, Shui looks for designers for his company, but the ones he picked are too expensive. Chinli walks in and hands over her resume, asking to join. The manager doubts her, but Shui says she's more than capable. When she meets the team, they don't greet her until they realize she's Shui's girlfriend, then suddenly become friendly. After seeing her presentation, everyone loves her ideas. During lunch, Shui gives her a special meal and she feeds him, making the employees whisper that she's probably their future boss. Afterwards, Shui drags Chinli to the library because she stopped studying, even though exams are close. She complains, thinking they were going on a date, but Shui insists she needs to graduate or people will say she's a designer without a degree. She finally agrees to study. Meanwhile, Shui Miao listens to the monitor tell a story. Whenever a scene she doesn't like, especially one in which he leans closer, she immediately tells him to delete it.
Shui Miao keeps making the monitor delete every scene she doesn't like from his story. Meanwhile, while Shu tutors Chinli, she talks non-stop until he leans close and quietly tells her she's talking too much. She instantly goes silent. Shui Miao continues acting out scenes with the monitor, hoping to inspire him, but he keeps saying he doesn't feel like writing. When she brings him water, she ends up splashing it on his face and ordering him to write. Scared, he sits down and works while she feeds him. When she offers water again, he dodges, thinking she'll splash him, but she was just giving him a drink. At the company, Chenri works so hard she falls asleep at her desk. Shu gently covers her with a blanket and leans in as if to kiss her, but the manager walks in and ruins the moment. Later, everyone prepares the shop overnight, exhausted, when Chen Li's and Shu's friends suddenly arrive to help. After finishing, Chen Li asks for a picture since it's her first project, and the two take selfies together. The next day, many customers visit, including a company that places a huge 50,000-unit order. Everyone celebrates, but a few days later, clients return demanding refunds because the product isn't selling online. More customers complain, and Shu becomes extremely stressed. Chen Li tries to cheer him up with jokes, and he hugs her tightly. She later tells Shu Miao about the company's troubles, and Shu Miao decides to help by doing a live stream. Unfortunately, the audience shows little interest. Then Chen Li brings a VR engineer to the shop. Shu decides to create a virtual reality advertisement to attract customers. After posting it, their sales shoot up, and everyone is relieved. In the next meeting, branch directors compare sales, and Shu ends up taking first place that season. He pretends to be sad when he meets Chen Li afterward, then reveals he won, making her hug him in excitement just as his dad walks in. Meanwhile, Shu Miao goes shopping with the monitor. When boys stare at her, he drinks her milk tea to make it look like they're dating, which scares them away. Soon after, Shu Miao helps her roommate shop, leaving the monitor behind. Later, Chen Li brainstorms more ideas for the store, and Shu mentions that with his dad's investment, they can open 3 more branches. Suddenly, Chen Li receives a call that the garden from her old school will be torn down. Shu immediately takes her there and digs up a box he buried long ago containing a note from her. He puts it back, and she worries someone will build over it. Shu says they can bury it under the company or even at their home someday. Chen Li asks what happens if he leaves her, and he promises he never will. Their memories flash by as they hug, marking the sweet ending of their journey. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts.